Once upon a time, in a village where the river ran silver and the mill wheel turned from dawn till dusk, there lived a young woman named Ilara. She was the miller's daughter, with eyes the color of warm honey and hands that knew the honest work of grinding grain into flour. Her father loved her dearly, and though they were not rich, their hearts were full and their hearth was warm. One autumn day, when the leaves burned gold and crimson on the trees, a stranger came to their mill. He was tall and handsome, with dark hair that fell across his brow and a smile that seemed to promise the world. He wore fine clothes of deep green velvet, and a silver ring glinted on his finger.
Good miller, I have heard tales of your daughter's beauty and kindness. I am a wealthy merchant with a grand house in the forest. I wish to make Ilara my bride.
My lord, this is a great honor.
Ilara's father was flattered by the stranger's attention and dazzled by his apparent wealth. He could see his daughter living in comfort, never wanting for anything. But when Ilara looked into the stranger's eyes, something stirred uneasily in her heart, a whisper of warning she could not quite name.
Father, I do not know this man. His words are sweet, but I feel a coldness beneath them, like ice hiding under snow.
Nonsense, my dear! This is a fine gentleman who offers you a life beyond our humble mill. You are simply nervous, as all brides are.
The stranger, who called himself Marcus, smiled at Ilara, and his smile did not reach his eyes.
I understand your hesitation, my bride-to-be. Come visit my home before our wedding day. See where you will live, and your fears will melt away like morning mist.
And so, though her heart beat like a frightened bird against her ribs, Ilara agreed. An engagement was made, and Marcus departed, promising to send word when she should visit. 3 days later, a message arrived, a single black feather tied with red thread and written in ink the color of dried blood. Come tomorrow when the sun reaches its highest point. Follow the white stones into the forest. My house awaits you.
Father, look! The message is a warning!
Nonsense, Ilara, it's just an invitation.
But the blood, the feather, it's dangerous!
Your imagination is running wild. He is an eccentric man, perhaps, but wealthy men have their peculiarities. Go, daughter, and see your future home.
The next morning, Ilara dressed in her simplest gown of gray wool and sturdy boots. Some instinct told her to prepare not for a bride's visit, but for something else, something dangerous. She filled her pockets with ashes from the hearth and tucked a small knife into her belt. As she walked into the forest, following the path of white stones Marcus had laid, she began to drop pinches of ash behind her, marking her way like breadcrumbs. The forest grew darker with each step, the trees pressing close like stern guardians, warning her to turn back. The birdsong that had accompanied her at the forest's edge fell silent, and even the wind seemed to hold its breath.
Trust your heart, Ilara. Trust what you feel, not what others tell you to feel.
After what seemed like hours, she came upon a house, but it was not the grand merchant's dwelling she had expected. It stood gray and weathered, its windows dark as closed eyes, its door hanging slightly ajar like a mouth waiting to swallow her whole. Above the door, carved deep into the wooden lintel, were words that made her blood run cold. Turn back, young maiden fair. This is a murderer's house. Beware. Ilara's breath caught in her throat. Every fiber of her being screamed at her to run. But a deeper courage, the kind that comes from knowing the truth must be witnessed, made her step forward. She had to see. She had to know. She pushed open the door, and it groaned like a creature in pain. Inside, the house was dim and silent, filled with strange shadows. Room after room she crept through, and each was empty, though she sensed the echo of terrible things that had happened within these walls. In the cellar, reached by stairs that descended into darkness, she found a single candle burning. And there, in its flickering light, sat an old woman, ancient as the hills, with eyes that held both sorrow and knowing.
Child, why have you come to this cursed place? This is no merchant's house. This is the den of robbers who prey upon young women foolish enough to trust them.
Marcus, my betrothed, lives here?
Marcus? That is the name he wears today. Perhaps tomorrow he might be Thomas or William. He is the
leader of a band of murderers who lure young women here with promises of love and wealth. I was taken by them long ago. Now I cook and clean for them, too old to escape, too broken to try. Horror flooded through Ilara like ice water.
I must leave. I must warn others.
Hide! I hear them coming! They return early from their hunting! Quick! Behind the wine barrel!
Ilara dove behind a large barrel, just as heavy footsteps thundered overhead. Down the cellar stairs came Marcus and 3 other men, rough and cruel-looking, dragging between them a young woman barely older than Ilara herself. The poor girl was weeping, her fine dress torn, her golden hair disheveled.
Please, you promised me a home, a husband, a family.
And I always keep my promises. You will stay here forever, just as I said.
What happened next? Ilara could barely watch. The robbers gave the poor girl wine laced with some potion that made her fall into a deep sleep. Then Marcus drew a knife, and Ilara had to press her hand over her mouth to keep from crying out.
Her ring finger first. That gold ring will fetch a good price.
He raised the knife, but just as he brought it down, the old woman stumbled, as if by accident, knocking into Marcus's arm. The severed finger flew through the air and landed directly in Ilara's lap, the gold ring still upon it. Ilara's heart nearly stopped. She clutched the finger, wrapping it quickly in her handkerchief, her whole body shaking with terror and revulsion.
Clumsy old fool! Find that finger! That ring is worth 10 silver coins!
I'm sorry!
Robbers searched the cellar floor, cursing and overturning boxes, but they did not think to look behind the barrel. As they searched, the old woman caught Ilara's eye and mouthed one word: "Go." The robbers moved their terrible burden upstairs, and Ilara seized her chance. She crept from her hiding place, silently blessed the old woman who had saved her life, and fled up the cellar stairs. She ran through the shadowy house and burst out the door into the fading afternoon light. She ran as she had never run before, her feet flying over roots and stones, following her trail of ashes back through the darkening forest. Behind her, she thought she heard shouts. Had they discovered her escape? She ran faster, her lungs burning, her legs aching, not daring to look back. When she finally burst from the forest into the open fields near her father's mill, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of blood and fire. She collapsed at her father's door, gasping and weeping.
Who's there?
Ilara! What happened? You look as if you've seen death itself.
Father, I have. Marcus is not a merchant. He is a murderer, a robber who kills young women for their jewels and possessions.
But her father, blinded by the promise of wealth and status, would not believe her. You had a nightmare, perhaps. You saw shadows and imagined horrors. Marcus is a gentleman. Ilara. No, father, I have proof. She unwrapped the handkerchief, revealing the pale finger with its golden ring. Her father went white as milk, but even then, he hesitated.
We cannot break the engagement without cause. The wedding is arranged for tomorrow. All the village is invited. If you make these accusations without more witnesses, we will be ruined.
Ilara saw that her father was trapped by pride and fear of scandal, and so a plan formed in her mind, a terrible, brave plan.
Then the wedding will proceed, Father. But you must trust me.
What are you planning, child?
The next day dawned clear and bright, as if the sun itself did not know of the darkness that had nearly claimed Ilara. The wedding feast was laid out in the village square, tables groaning with food, barrels of wine and cider, musicians ready to play. Villagers gathered in their finest clothes, eager to see the miller's daughter wed to the mysterious wealthy merchant. Marcus arrived with his 3 companions, all dressed splendidly, their smiles wide and false. He looked at Ilara with those cold eyes, and she wondered if he suspected anything.
My beautiful bride, you look pale. Were you frightened being alone in the forest yesterday? I am sorry I could not be there to welcome you. Business called me away.
I was not alone, my lord. I saw many things.
As the feast began and the wine flowed, the guests called for entertainment. It was tradition for the bride to tell a story before the vows were spoken. A guest. A story, Ilara. Tell us a tale. Ilara stood, her legs trembling, but her voice clear and strong.
I will tell you all a dream I had. A strange, terrible dream.
And so she began, recounting every detail of her journey into the forest, her discovery of the house, the words above the door, the old woman in the cellar. She spoke calmly, as if it were merely a dream, watching Marcus's face grow paler with each word, Ilara. And then, in my dream, I saw robbers bring a young woman into the cellar, and their leader raised a knife to take her ring. Marcus, interrupting, his voice tight.
Marcus, what a vivid imagination you have! But this is too dark a tale for a wedding!
But it's only a dream, my lord. Surely there's no harm in a dream?
She continued, her voice growing stronger. And when the leader cut off the finger for the ring, the old woman stumbled, and the finger flew through the air and landed in the barrel where I hid. Marcus, enough of this foolish... Ilara.
But it was no dream!
She pulled the handkerchief from her bodice and unwrapped it, holding up the severed finger with its golden ring for all to see. The wedding guests gasped in horror.
This man and his companions are murderers who lure young women to their deaths. I witnessed their crime with my own eyes!
Chaos erupted. Marcus and his men tried to run, but the village men were faster, fueled by righteous fury. They seized the robbers, bound them, and sent for the constable. Marcus, stripped of his charm and false refinement, snarled like a trapped animal.
You foolish girl! You should have stayed hidden! You should have kept silent! You can't do this!
I could not. Too many women have died because they trusted you. No more.
The robbers were taken away to face justice. The constable and a group of men went to the house in the forest, where they found the old woman and freed her at last. They discovered evidence of many crimes, and most heartbreaking of all, they found the poor young woman from the day before, still alive but deeply sleeping from the potion. A physician was able to wake her, and though she was traumatized, she would recover. In the days that followed, Ilara's father apologized to his daughter with tears streaming down his face.
I should have trusted your instincts, my dear girl. I was blinded by greed and pride. You are braver and wiser than I ever knew.
We all make mistakes, Father. What matters is that we learn from them.
The old woman from the robber's house came to live with Ilara and her father at the mill. Her real name was Helena, and she had been trapped in that terrible place for 20 years. Slowly, with love and kindness, she began to heal. She taught Ilara her wisdom about trusting one's inner voice and seeing beyond pretty words to the truth beneath. As for Ilara, she never married the robber Bridegroom, of course, but in time, she did marry a kind carpenter from the next village who loved her not for her beauty, but for her courage and her true heart. And she lived a long and happy life, always remembering the lesson she had learned, that the voice inside us that whispers warnings is not to be ignored, that courage is not the absence of fear, but acting rightly despite it, and that the truth, no matter how difficult to speak, must always be brought into the light. And so, dear listeners, the story ends not with happily ever after, but with something better, with wisdom earned, courage rewarded, and truth triumphant. For that is the truest kind of happiness, the kind that is fought for and won with a brave heart.